mention, then roll call, and then move them ahead. Sue, did you do part of RAGBRAI this year?
2 days.
Yeah, how was that?
It's great.
Was it the hot days?
No, I had, Thursday was overcast and really nice, and then Friday wasn't too bad at all.
That's good.
Yeah. Tuesday, Wednesday were really hot, had winds and long miles.
Were those the 2 days when there's a couple people that passed really from, was that heat exhaustion and stuff?
One person got hit by a motorcycle.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Thursday and Friday were the best days, so I lucked out.
Cedar Falls.
Iowa Falls to Cedar Falls the whole one. So just under 100 miles I did.
Nice.
2 days.
Good work. Better you than me.
Stress relief.
I was thinking the same thing. Stress relief. Gotta have
Punish
something.
myself inside the office and outside.
There you go.
6 o'clock.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to the special meeting of the East Dubuque City Council. It is Monday, July 28th. I ask that you please turn your cell phones off during the meeting and please be quiet during discussions. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 25-0724 call to order.
Bergmeyer,
Here.
Dagenhart,
Here.
Fleur,
Here.
Meyer, Roby,
Here.
Taylor,
Here.
Mayor Digman,
Here.
Attorney Hess. Here.
All right, we're going to move to old business. 25-0716. Discussion and possible action to approve fiscal year 2024 audit report, findings, conditions, and management's discussion and analysis report, and authorize signatures on behalf of the city to sign letter of confirmation to the findings of fiscal year 2024 audit in the city of East Dubuque.
Okay, we're going to turn it over to our auditor, Dante.
Hi, everyone. Yep. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for attending and for the accommodation. As you see on your screen, this is a copy of the 2024 audit report, year ended April 30, 2024. We scroll to the second page. That would be the table of contents, basically talks about what's in the report. The third page is the city officials listed here, where we got this information from you. This is the audit report. So basically, this is where it indicates that the city financials are in a good shape. It's on the basis of cash presented and the basis of opinion, which is this section here. Basically the middle section talks about everything is good. There are no issues. All the financials are done based on the accounting, generally accepted accounting principles in the USA. If we scroll down, this talks about our responsibility and your responsibility, which is a something that you see in every audit report, a standard report. There's no deviations or anything like that. If we scroll to page 4, and that's where the management discussion and analysis. So this is kind of an overview or highlight of the financial numbers that you have in your audit. Talks about financial highlights, the first section, about the receipts, about the disbursements. I'd like to move to the actual numbers here, which is the government-wide financial statements here. This little table, it shows you that the assets, which is the cash, in 2024 increased to almost 1.46 million, of which it's broken down into these categories. 1.45 million for government activities, and business type is 25,000. Total 1.485 million, which is here. As you see, versus 2023, it was 970,000. So it went up about $500,000, and that is due to the profit that you did. We're going to look at this in a more detail in a little bit, but this is the government-wide, on this page, revenue and expenses. So as we see here, broken down, the bolded ones is government activities and business type. Business type, which is your sewer, water, anything that is proprietary fund. So if we look here, total for 2024, total revenue that we received 5.6 million versus 4.9 million in 2023. So it went up by about $700,000 in revenue. And if we look at the expenses, which is total disbursements, total here for 2024 was 5.1 million versus 7.3 million in 2023. And the reason 2023, as you see, it's due to this 2.7 million, which is part of the water. That's due to the construction that we had to do, that we were done by majority of that in 2024. So overall, as you see here, this is the change in basis. The 515,000 is your net profit for the year among all funds, government and non-government, versus 106 in 2023. So there's a big increase here. And this is broken down into government activities: public safety, public works, culture, economic development, and debt. If we move to the following page, this is kind of a graphic breakdown based on the receipts and in 2024 versus 2023. As you see, it is percentages. And if we go down, this is the receipts and disbursement from the business type, meaning the water, sewer, and all the other non-government funds. Following this, this is basically where it says the general fund. Talks about the general fund balance increased by 365,000. The motor fuel increased by 7,000. The fuel tax was 66,000 compared to 3,000. That went down a little bit. The special revenue for parks, 17,000, went up to 108. So overall, it's a good year. Now, this water and sewer decreased 427 to 192, and then also the sewer as well. Overall, though, that as you see here, the enterprise fund in total operating disbursement exceeded operating receipts by 1.48 million, 1.048. And then if we look down here, this is the debt. So this is basically what your debt is in 2024. It went up to almost 7 million versus 5.5 million, and that's due to the construction, as you see here, majority of your debt is in the water and in the sewer, as we see here, not much in the government side. Moving down here, this is basically where the financial statements start. This is the government-wide. This talks about, like we saw in the discussion, cash is 1.485 million. And these are the restrictions, divided into like what's reserved for debt, what's reserved for other purposes, public works, culture. A lot of it is for economic development, as we see here. And then the rest, honestly, like this is the breakdown of the revenue and expenses for the government-wide. We saw that in the management discussion. As you see here, it shows after 515,000 your net profit, which what we talked about earlier. If we move down, this is based on the fund. As you see here, this is government funds, and this is profit or loss based on the fund. General fund, motor fuel, parks and grounds, and the upper section here is the revenue, and the middle section is the disbursements. And then you get your, again, net profit per fund versus loss. And then if you go here, it is capital projects and non-major funds. And if you keep scrolling down, this is your enterprise fund, the water, sewer, and non-major enterprise. As we see here, the top part is the water revenue. We received 419,000, the sewer 549,000, and then the disbursements 1.5 million. And a lot of this has to do with, again, the construction of the fund or the sewer and water. If we scroll down, these are the notes of the financial statements. Basically, this is an explanation of the numbers. So this talks about your basis, the nature of operation, how the government entity is structured. The few following pages are just policies of the government and accounting policies. But the one section that I need to probably bring to your attention, because it's not part of your financial statements, is the debt here, which is note 3. 3 basically explains a lot about the debt. So it talks about the government activities, the Illinois Finance Authority, and then talks about each business type, like Illinois EPA for sanitary, for water, for waste. And this is the beginning balance. This is addition if we added more debt. This is redeemed if we paid down the debt, and this is ending balance. So as we saw in the management discussion, your ending balance is almost $7 million, of which 380,000 due within the next year. And this is additional information, kind of break those into amounts, tell you what the scheduled payments are for the debt. So the next 3 pages talk about the debt. Good to look at, kind of to get an idea of how your debt is, because you use cash basis financial statements, that does not show in your balance sheet. So it's good to look at the disclosures or notes to refer to that. Other than that, this pension, note 5 talks about the pension or retirement, how many employees were covered, how many retired, also good to look at, but overall the IMRF plan is very healthy. And if we scroll down, these are here, the non-major government funds, kind of goes into more detail. If you want to look at the non-major government funds, this talks about audit, insurance, IMRF, kind of breaks it between receipts and expenses. So it gives you an idea here under each fund how much you made money, profit or loss. Scroll to the second page, FICA, replacement vehicle, DUI, emergency, and then debt service. So all of this groups into the first couple of pages that we looked at. But this is kind of a drill down of those numbers. This is the capital project fund, also showing you, the two funds that we have, the half-cent infrastructure and the downtown, and tells you how much receipts we received and how much disbursements we did, and kind of gives you per fund a mini kind of profit and loss statement. And this is for area TIF and ARPA, ARPA, and then the total for the fund. This is here budget versus actual. This schedule, so basically it tells you what the original budget is, the final, and the actual, and if there are any variances. For the most part, it looks, and some items very close, but that's something probably for the government to kind of look and see if they met their budget. Overall, if you see here, there's a deficit of 644,000. It looks like that if we look at our final budget was 2.2 million. The actual is 2.3 million. So we had about $188,000 more received in revenue, which is good. Our expenses budget was 2 million. We spent 2.17. We exceeded it by 89,000. So overall, better, 98,000. So we made more money than we budgeted, basically. Which is a good thing. And if we move here, this is basically for the Parks and Playground Fund. Kind of talks about budget versus actual. And this last one here is the assessed valuation. So this is basically tells you how much your assessed valuation is and kind of the expected tax collection based on each fund. For 2025 and then 2024, 2023. So it goes for the last 10 years. That's what's required by the Comptroller's Office. So you can look and see what the history is. If we go to the following page, this talks about the IMRF, which is your also 10 years, your total pension liability, and how much your contribution, and you're part of that. That's part of your annual IMRF, which is the GASB, 63 or 50 that you look at, but this data is driven from there, where it's audited annually by the IMRF. And that's it. The last part of this is the report that this was done based on the government auditing standards, which is the yellow book, the last 2 pages. But that's about it. As far as like I said, there are no really issues, no findings. Everything is done great with the accounting firm and ready basically to file. Any questions?
Looking around the room.
Can we go back to the original screen that you had up as far as like the highlights?
Oh, yeah, it'll be on. Can you go back to the budget highlights
Just kind of,
at the very beginning?
can we go over those that you had up there? I
The
mean,
very beginning you said, which is the,
Yeah, the beginning, the budget. It was budget highlights on the first page 4.
over here.
or even the
Right there. The financial highlights.
yeah, can we address
Okay.
those, please?
Yeah, so receipts for the city, for the government's activities increased by 6.5%, in the amount of $222,000 from 2023. Disbursements decreased by 18.4%, about 650,000 in comparison with 2023. And the city total cash basis net position went up by 515,000, which is our profit in comparison to 2023. So basically, income went up, expenses went down. We made profit here and if you compare 23 to 24. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that, I mean, and if there were any financial lowlights, low-lying fruit, whatever, what, what would they be? I mean, was there anything that stuck out at all, or?
No, I mean, not really. Like we said, it's been very consistent. Revenue went up, great. And if we look at disbursement went down, this, I think, if we look at the graph here, that's a good indication of the 2 years. It looks like that for the most part, 11%. The blue cannabis went up by 1%. For the rest, about, flexible, like very similar, but as far as something stands out, honestly, it looks like if we look at the numbers, that everything is good. Actually, it's a better year. Let's go back to the profit and loss here, which is this comparison. If we look at the total for 2024, which is this column, the last two columns versus 2023, like I said, 5.6 million versus 5 million. So we went up by, between the government and business type, almost 700,000. Expenses went down. And again, because we did not have to use a lot of capital expenditures for the water and sewer, but overall, good year. Yeah, and this breaks it down into, like, if you see under general receipts here, you can see your property tax, your sales tax, your income tax, so you can compare those. Property tax went up to 823 versus 778. Sales tax about the same, not really much of a difference. Income tax went up a little bit. I see cannabis went up. Video gaming about the same. Other taxes up. Interest income, that's a good thing, went up by double. And then other general receipts, that went up dramatically. So yeah, and if we look at the expenses, really, your biggest expenses here in the, I would say in the non-business type, which is the water, because of construction, 2.7 million. But overall, they're very consistent. So nothing really stands out. That would be a concern. Actually, it's a good year. And hopefully after the construction and getting everything in place for those, pending capital projects, the city will start seeing better return and less expenses.
I think the other thing that stuck out to me when we were going through it is the budget versus actual. It was dialed in pretty tight. I mean, compared to past years where we didn't have those processes in place, and just the way the team, work towards budget. So that's great work.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the general fund, which is your biggest fund here, if you look, I mean, we're talking about millions, and having, these differences, small differences, not really, it's very tight, like you said. It looks like that we're doing good, being close to the budget as we can. Revenue-wise, I think it's good always to exceed the budget. Expenses-wise, I think it's good to be at the budget or lower, which is good here. It looks like that we're lower in the total disbursements for the general fund. I think that's a good notice here. And then you talk about motor fuel, same thing, budget versus actual. These are smaller. I would look at there's parks and playgrounds, not much of a difference as you see. It's only the hundreds. So overall, we're good. Yep.
Any other questions? Discussion?
Randy, anything you'd add, or?
The only thing I would add is your general fund still has a deficit cash balance. And for an entity your size, your general fund should have about 4 months of budget in reserves. And so you really should have close to 700,000 in operations in your general fund, and you have a deficit fund balance. So I would encourage you, and it's still deficit at the end of your next current year that just ended. So I would encourage you to whittle away at that and bring your general fund at a more respectable balance from an operational standpoint. And you're not gonna get there overnight, I can tell you that. It's gonna take you probably 5-6 years to get to this level. But I would encourage you to, and one thing you have done, you've instituted a much better budgeting process. And from looking at this, I think we need to hone in a little bit on that, because when I go to page 46, I can see here you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 funds that went over budget. Now, this was Bob's first year here. He walked in and had a mess to take care of, so I'm not surprised to see this, but we should address that, because what that tells me is you're not using your budget as an operational tool. Because if you were, you would, that's an indication, when you go over budget and you're not close to the year end, you know you need to do something. Something's not right. And so when you're off this much, that tells me you're not using your budget as a tool, and you should be. So I guess that's all I really want. And you have other funds.
So what
that
was our deficit the year before compared to this?
$1 million. It was $1,010,000. You're right.
Cut it basically in half, right?
So that's right. You're not gonna get out of this in 1 year, and you didn't get into it in 1 year. But I just, this is, from an auditing standpoint, this is a really good report. From an operational standpoint, if I was in your shoes, things I would look at is that general fund. You also have some cash and TIF funds, and you know this, Bob, that you're gonna have to spend those before those TIF districts reach their end. And I know you're all over that, so I'm not gonna, and I know you guys watch those funds here, so I don't need to talk about that. But the only thing that really concerns me in this is a deficit cash balance in your general fund causes you heartburn. And therefore it should cause you heartburn.
What did you say the deficit was, 700 and some?
The deficit's 645,000 approximately. On page 37, or there's more pages that show the cash balance. But the general fund, it started out at $1,010,000, and it as a deficit, and at the end of 24, the deficit went down to 645,000.
Mm-hmm.
So we are correcting the deficit, we're not.
So October,
You are.
so we cut it by $500,000 by
And I
October
can
of,
tell you we're not-
April of
That's right.
24. And now by April of 25,
Thank you. I was just gonna say that. I think you're still in a deficit at 25, but we're getting close. So, the other thing I would suggest you consider is converting to an accrual report and an accrual basis. Because like right now, when I look at this, you can't see how much is your receivables in water and sewer. I have no clue what they are. And therefore, you probably don't either, because it's not in any of your reports, because you're cash basis. So I would encourage you to,
No, we could for those receivables, because if you look at the page here, which is the assessment, let me look here at this. So do you see here is your 2025 kind of tax extension. So it looks like the 418,000. So that would be if we were accrual basis. So that would be basically our receivable, 418,000. And again, that's only from the tax. We're not talking about, business type like sewer, water, or any other general collection. But if it's very rare for us to see even your accountant set a full cash basis government financial statements. Usually, the easiest, not the easiest, but I think a good one is modified cash basis versus full accrual. You could go full accrual, but modified cash basis is good because you can modify it to whatever you want to modify it to. You could include receivable, you could include fixed assets, which you probably have a lot of fixed assets here because of all this building and all these capital projects probably will bring in big value to the fixed assets. You would modify it to have payables just to see what's out there. But overall, I think something maybe you should think about, modified cash maybe. But yeah, it's gonna take, maybe I would say a year plus to get to positive general fund net position. You did well last year. That's why it went down from 1 million to 600 because of the 500 profit. So hopefully in 2025, another 500,000 in profit, so that bring it close to zero, and then moving forward, you'll be in the positive part of this.
Yeah, I think that's the important part, I guess, to think about, is this goes back, we're all ready to go with our next audit process. We're already at that point, so this does go back a ways, so. Any other?
And also, if we look, one thing that we look at usually is the cash, how much cash we have. We have about we had about 1.4. If we look here, 8 million, which is here your total, which is good to cover, good cushion to cover expenses for probably, good part of the year, at least 4 months of the year without having to get any income. Not assuming that, but we're also healthy on the cash balance. But we probably want to increase that reserve. And that probably will be increased as we spend less on these capital improvements.
So as we pay down our debt, that will help our,
Both paying down our debt and increasing our cash. So, this budget
Sure.
we just passed is also set to have a balance at the end, which whether we use it to decrease debt or increase cash will still benefit us in the bottom line.
Right.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? If not, we need a motion to approve the fiscal year 2024 audit report findings, conditions, and management's discussion.
So move.
Roll call?
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer, Roby,
aye.
Taylor.
Aye. All right. And Pam Meyer is
Oh.
in attendance, he just voted.
Thank you.
Oh, you're good. All right,
Good,
Dante,
we're good.
Thank you
All
very
right,
much.
well, thanks, Bob. I'll be in touch.
Appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Take
Dante.
care.
Bye.
Take care, bye.
Thank you.
Right. Cindy, thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
All right, we're going to backtrack to 25-0725 staff reports, city manager report.
I would just point out, I know there's been some concern about the weather we've had in the last couple weeks, and I think
We had about 2.5 inches of rain last night in about 20 minutes. That's always a concern that we have, and we do the best we can to mitigate it. But there are no pumps in the city currently that can handle that kind of a deluge at one time. We do have plans that we're working on that we've put in for a $6 billion grant from the state for relieving the stormwater issues, and we are on that. We are working to improve the stormwater system as quickly as we're able to, but it's a long time coming, and we will do the best we can.
All right, thank you. The only thing I have, I just wanted to thank everybody for making time to attend the special meeting so we could keep the ball rolling on things. So thank you to everybody here. We're going to move on. Alderperson report, Bergmeyer.
I have nothing this week, Mayor.
Thank you. Degenhardt.
No, I had one thing I was going to bring up. I had one complaint on the flats with the water today. Want the tractor not being there, but what do you do when you got 2.5 inches of water in 20 minutes? Nothing we can do. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Fleur.
Nothing.
Thank you. Meyer. Nothing today. Thank you. Roby.
Yeah, I had talked to Bob about this morning. We have that other pump set up down there, right? Still on.
Yes. Yeah, there is the other pump set up down there.
So is there a way just to help? I know it's open to the river or the lake and everything else, but is there a way we could, when it starts raining that hard, could we turn that pump on just to help down there on Fifth Street in that thing? Is there any way the police can go down and just flip it on, or I don't know how it turns on, so, I mean.
Yeah, I did have a conversation with Tony and Luke after that. And one of the concerns is, first off, when the rain comes down like that, the police usually have their hands full right at that moment. But also, there's nobody monitoring. If there's nobody monitoring that secondary pump, it's not, as I understand, Tony, jump in if you need, if I get this wrong, but basically that secondary pump isn't set to kick on and kick off the same way the other ones are. So you need to monitor it better. And so that's, I think, part of the problem is that we could damage the pump by running it on, more unattended. So once you turn it on, you got to make sure the water's still coming in. Right? That's it. I get that right. So we will work on, trying to get it going as quickly as we can. But, this storm, as I understand, was basically, by the time they would have gotten pumps going, the storm was
It sounds like we're gonna get another.
practically over.
Tonight too, so just something to keep an eye on. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. Taylor.
Nothing, Mayor.
Thank you. 25-0726, speakers from the floor. All right. We have none noted this evening. We're going to move on to new business. 25-0727, discussion and possible action to approve payment number 1 to R&W Restoration LLC in the amount of $95,000 in the city of East Dubuque.
So this is the first payment for the masonry work being done on the exterior of the building. This is within the scope of the overall contract. They are, Lord willing, and the Riverdome Rise. They're a week, in the neighborhood of a week from being completed with the exterior of the project. It's going pretty much according to plan. Inside the wall, we did run into one unexpected piece that took a little bit more time, and that's going to probably, that will result in a change order that'll cost a couple $1,000s. But other than that, we're running the number of bricks and the amount of work that was forecast by Origin in the budget for this seems to be pretty close.
I'll motion to approve this bill. I'll second.
Roll call.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer. Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
25-0728, action to award pre-approved November 4th, 2024 TIF Award 24-1110 payment for Midtown Marina in the amount of $50,000 in the city of East Dubuque.
So the project's been completed, the expenditures were reported, the receipts and everything have been received, and they're all in line with the projections that were approved by the council last fall.
Any questions or discussion on this? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Roll call?
Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer. Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
25-0729, discussion and possible action to approve getting estimates for emergency culvert replacement on Second Street and Menominee Avenue through the levee utilizing TIF funding in the city of East Dubuque.
So this is, we've got a sinkhole that developed on Thursday last week. It's, the hole is about 8 inches right now, but if you look underneath and feel underneath, there's no reason to believe it doesn't run the width of the street. There's a second sinkhole that's a few feet away from it, and then one on the gravel. These are, I think, where we discussed in the past, and part of our grant application was 3 culverts making 3 separate holes in the levee is what we've got right now. And our plan was to combine those 3, whether we bring them through the levee or to the ditch. We combine it so we only make 1 hole in the levee. We aren't ready to be able to move anything to the ditch because of the 72-inch culvert would have to be moved before we could do that. But with 3 basically completely disintegrated culverts going through the levee, 2 problems. One, you can have sinkholes in the road, but that's really just a warning. Once the water starts going through a weak spot, a hole like that in the levee, it can undermine the levee. And so the Army Corps has been strongly encouraging us to act on this because we haven't been able to inspect that culvert because it was in too bad a shape. So we need to do something, and we need to do something before something worse happens. And so what this will do is tie together those 3 culverts and put 1 hole through the levee. We'll abandon the other holes, and they'll be properly closed to ensure that the levee is protected.
So,
Again, this is just to go ahead and move forward in getting estimates.
So we'll get estimates, and next Monday you can vote to approve on approving the estimate.
so which TIF fund would this come out of, the downtown TIF? I
This
know
would this
we're spending a lot of TIF money, do we?
this
have
would be
money there?
this would be from the downtown TIF, but we do have the ability to move money between the TIFs because the other 2 TIFs are connected to the downtown TIF, so we're okay.
I motion to move ahead with getting the bids.
A second.
All right. Roll call?
Meyer. Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
Dagenhart.
Aye.
Fleur.
Aye.
25-0730, executive session for sale of real estate and litigation. Need a motion to enter executive session?
Second.
Roll call?
Roby.
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart. Fleur.
Aye.
Meyer.
All right, we're going to executive session.
See you inside, Ben.
He sounds terrible.
He's up in Minnesota. He's on the coach.
25-0731, discussion and possible action on matters discussed in executive session in the city of East Dubuque. We need a motion to direct the city attorney to take action pursuant to the default remedies in the purchase contract on the sale of 166 Cincinnati Avenue.
I'll make a motion.
There you go.
All right. We got a motion by Justin,
And a second by Ben.
second by Ben. Roll call.
Bergmeyer,
Aye.
Dagenhart,
Aye.
Fleur,
Aye.
Meyer,
Aye.
Roby,
Aye.
Taylor.
Aye.
25-0732, a motion to adjourn.
Still move.
Roll call.
Dagenhart, Fleur, Meyer, Roby,
Aye.
Taylor,
Aye.
Bergmeyer.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Thanks, Ben.
Don't catch too many.
I'll try not to. See you guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Ben.
Bye.
Bye.